Hello there, and welcome to another of Andre's Artist Profiles. Now today, I am going to be profiling the English musician Joe Jackson. Joe Jackson has created a really elaborate body of work, and again, this is a birthday artist profile. That's what I do. I usually profile artists on their birthdays, with the exception of George Duke, who died this past Monday. Anyway, so here is Joe Jackson's first album, Look Sharp. Now, the big hit on this album was There's Joe right there as he appeared in 1978. Is She Really Going Out With Him? Which really typifies this album. It basically sounds like a combination between, well, something like Elvis Costello and Steely Dan, and that really showcases Joe Jackson's career. And there's a lot of gaps in this video. He followed this up with an album called I'm Your Man, but I don't have that one yet. But I plan to. Anyway, here's his 1980 album, Beat Crazy. For a long time, this album, credited to the Joe Jackson Band, was actually pretty hard to get. I love that cover. It's so colorful. This album actually has a very jazzy reggae mod flavor to it that's very unique and interesting. It's kind of underrated. I don't think this album was as commercially successful as it should have been, but you know, Joe Jackson, I don't think he really thought that much of commercial a lot of the times, because after this, in 1981, he put out this album called Jumpin Jive, which is basically a collection of swing, jump blues from people like Louis Jordan. I remember when I grew up, my father used to play this a lot on vinyl around the house, so I was very familiar with his version of Jumpin Jive in particular, and Jack You're Dead, another Louis Jordan song, Five Guys Named Mo, that sort of thing. In the liner notes, he actually equates the swing movement, which in the early 80s was associated with elegance and class, as being not nice music at all, and the punk of its day. So that made it kind of legit. That was an excellent way for Joe Jackson to present swing and jump blues to the punk new wave crowd. But this is an excellent album from 1981. And of course, he followed that up with his classic, Night and Day. He had a huge hit on this album with Steppin' Out. Still probably one of the most unusual hits, rhythmically and harmonically, I've ever heard, But this album is terrific. Another World, Cancer, Real Men, Breaking Us in Two, has a similar melodic refrain, I suppose, to Day After Day by Badfinger, but he really develops that in a very jazzy way. A friend of mine used to be in a gay men's choir, and they actually did a recitation of this entire album, which apparently has something to do with gay life at that time. There's Joe and the band that he recorded this album with. Very, very funky picture. Night and Day. One of my favorite albums by Joe Jackson. One of my favorite albums, period, actually, I should say. When I expand my favorite CDs bin, this is going to be in it. Now, I also have his recent album, The Duke, tribute to Duke Ellington. This has it all. Jazz, funk, swing, you name it, all in one. And I think Duke would approve himself. There's a picture of Joe as he appears at this current time. Regina Carter's on this album, Iggy Pop, Christian McBride, Questlove on this album. He has a book out called Mo Meta Blues that came out this summer. If you're a music fan and a musicologist, and what Questlove calls a music geek, a term I don't like to personally use, you have to read his book, Mo Meta Blues. But this is not having anything to do with Questlove. So there's his latest, and let's go back to his greatest here. As I said, I plan to expand my collection of Joe Jackson CDs in the future, but I wanted to wish a happy birthday to him today, and look forward to hearing what musical adventures this man is going to take us on in the future. See you next time.